So the day, what do you call about
The
like after a
morning
hurricane? Yeah, the morning after
the
the
night before.
yeah.
Yeah.
But here we are. Origin 1 has come and gone. Devastating for Maroons, but you guys will be
got the
happy.
win.
The Blues.
Yeah, it was a good game. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was. Obviously not happy, but I've been saying the game is bizarre and weird. I don't know if many people agree with me. What I mean by that is like, the first thing, like, I think people were laughing about it, but the goal kicking, there's a lot of goals.
Yeah, it was a shocker.
Oh, I will put an asterisk there. They were mostly out wide, but we are in the era of like high percentage goal kicking, better goal kickers than we've ever seen in history. And on top of that, you're the best of the best. And
Yeah, yeah.
The funny thing about that for New South Wales is they have so many goal kickers. Cleary, Mitchell, Lomax, Moses, even Crichton's a good kicker.
Right, and Dylan Edwards does the job sometimes
That's
too.
true.
Yeah.
Almost the whole back line, I think. Maybe
Toto's probably got a kick in
yeah.
him, let's be real. Yeah.
Well, if he wasn't off having Coke Zeros, he'd be trying to slot goals. But so that's the funny thing, and so much depth. But you can have all the depth you want. Only one guy kicks. But and Cleary, a lot of people say, and I think the stats will show, is one of the best kickers.
I think Origin, before going into that game, I think I saw a thing saying he was like 97% in Origin, but he wasn't last night. But then they brought on Lomax. They hooked Cleary for the last kick, and it was easier than the ones Cleary had missed, and Lomax shanked it too. So it was just a bad night. Val Holmes missed his ones. I think he got one.
Yeah.
He got a penalty kick, but he didn't get his conversion, I think. Or he got the conversion, but not the penalty, one of the two.
Well, I've never been a goal kicker myself. How about you?
Oh, when I played, I kicked a bit, but I was a soccer player, so I never really found it that hard to wrap my head around.
Well, no, it just interests me because it's that thing of like you score a try, being a prop, walk right back to the other end, go to the fence, ready to do the Leniu, Nathan Brown off the back fence run. But so it just got me. I was like, goal kickers, they've got this extra mental thing. Plus the physical thing. I wonder if it plays a bit the intensity of the game. Probably not there.
Yeah, but Cleary's been good in grand finals with it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in the press conference, Laurie Daly and Yoey, they just said he had a bad night, and then they both chuckled, and then the press guys were like, "What's that about?" And they're like, "He's gonna be up all night thinking about those goal kicks," and they're like, "He's not going to miss another kick in Origin this year."
It can be that classic thing of kind of like, what do you call it, like a rock rolling down the mountain, like the momentum rolling stone, because it's like the first one could just be a shit missed kick, and then the second one's like, do you over adjust?
Well, the first one he hit the post and it bounced out, and then after that, then he was just like, they're going everywhere.
Because like I know I talk about this a lot, probably to the point of people are sick of it, but I do follow a lot of different sports. Love my American football, and the funny thing about that is, people give them grief and say, because you have the positions where it's the one thing you do. So they have guys who just kick for goal.
Yeah.
Even to the point, there'll be another guy for kickoff even.
Yeah.
But so these are guys who it's their one job, they can focus on it, and they get the yips. Yeah, meaning like miss one becomes two, and it's mental because 1, 2, and then they just get cut. They're one of the positions that isn't guaranteed money. They can just get cut. One of the best kickers ever just got cut by the Baltimore Ravens, Justin Tucker.
Wow.
But the asterisk there is he's been a bit of a naughty boy.
Righto.
Is it adultering?
Adultery?
Adultery, yeah.
Yep, it's in the Bible. Look it up.
I think he's there's a few of them who get like masseurs to give them a happy ending.
Righto.
Anyway, enough NFL talk. But yeah, goal kicking, we'll get that out of the way. That's why I'm saying bizarre. So the first one, goal kicking. Second thing, being a fan of old school footy myself, I did enjoy, but the big hits were back. You notice that with the defense?
Yeah. There was their contact's always big in Origin. I was a bit. I'm not sure how I feel about it at the moment, because at the time I wanted to see Spencer Leniu take a hit up off the kickoff, and each time Queensland kicked it away from him. And apparently the talk going into it was, he was going to be one of the targets because, we all know his history with Queenslanders and all that kind of business and the Broncos guys and JT. But they didn't kick it to him, and he was blowing up at like after the kickoff run was taken, like both times. And I think I'm of the opinion I would have loved to see it. I think I said on the podcast in the preview yesterday, I really wanted to see him open the game, like start and take the first hit up. That's just me with a morbid curiosity of wanting to see dudes run off the back fence. But I do think it was kind of smart for Queensland because if he does do it, then they're going to run it Spenny really hard too.
Yeah.
And what if one of them gets knocked out like happened last game? Like a lot of times people do get HIAs and it's kind of like for no reason. So I think it actually was probably smart for Queensland. But then on the other hand, maybe psychologically the fact that they might be worried about getting knocked out, Spencer might know that and the New South Wales guys know that. And is that a sign of a bigger psychological thing going on that New South Wales have over them? I don't know.
Well, it's funny you say that.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like I do, being a prop myself, I love the off the back fence runs.
Yeah, I've seen you do them. Yeah, you do it. You love it.
But it does make me think, why do they kick it to the guys who want that? So it was smart. And because it's like you're giving them exactly what they want. There's a saying in sport where it's like, I don't know the exact wording, but it's basically like, it's not really a good saying if I don't know the exact wording, but you know, it's like they say in selection, like pick the guy you're going to give your team nightmares. The same thing is like do the thing that's going to make your opposition uncomfortable. Yeah, and so it surprised me when they do.
Spencer Lanyu's really comfortable taking the kickoff, so maybe that's what they're doing.
Just finishing on the bizarre game thing, sorry.
So
goal kicking, big hits back, and this kind of ties in. It's kind of like 2A and 2B, so big hits, and that led to a lot of drop ball, which, and when I say bizarre game, it's like you do get games that are very sloppy where there's a lot of drop ball, but I say it's a bizarre game because, yes, there was a lot of drop ball, but it was still end to end, which is interesting because sometimes when it's a lot of drop ball, it can be like they drop it at the 20 and then they gain 20 meters and drop it, and it's but this was drop, they gained 70, drop, you know, and it wasn't just, there's a few drop kicks which is going to happen off big bombs and that. It was a funny game because I don't think you can say anyone was like terrible. Maybe like I'm pretty harsh on Holmes, but I think he was worst on the field. I know it's a bit nasty having a worst on field, but like one thing I know is he didn't even jump for that last try. I do. You know what's very funny is some of the things that have been a problem for New South Wales were flipped around. So over the years, New South Wales have had people out of position. Whereas I do believe Crichton being a legitimate centre was a huge bonus for New South Wales because who did Queensland have? Toya and
Hammer.
Yeah, who is a very good centre, but I believe he's best at fullback.
He's fullback. He should have been fullback last night, I believe. I think Kalen Ponga had an off night too.
I don't like that selection. I would have Tabuai as fullback personally.
What happens now? I think Reece Walsh was meant to play this weekend, but he's not. If he gets one game in and he plays well, does Billy pick him for Origin?
Well, it's a big question. I don't think so, because his form wasn't great either.
I think he's been in worse form than Kalen Ponga.
Yeah. It's something I wanted to talk about. Being a Queenslander, we've had, the last 15 or so years, we've had some good years. And out of that...
some great years.
But out of that breeds cockiness. And one thing, in particular in those 8 in a row years, we had great players, some legend... you got Slater, Cronk, Thurston, Smith. Some, if not all of those guys, are considered some of the best in their position.
And Matt Scott and 8 Miles up front, those two guys did a perfect job too.
And so those guys, if they were going not very well in NRL, they always lifted for Origin.
Nate Miles played shit in club footy for 10 years, but then he played for Queensland and he was a fucking beast.
But the problem is now we got so used to that people think all these guys now are going to do that. And it's just simply not the case. People are like, oh, Cherry's been shitting Manly, but watch out. I heard I like Storm's going all right. Everyone had them favourites and they're 6-4, 6 wins, 4 losses, which I don't think they would have thought they'd lost 4 games.
Especially to Dolphins and St. George and some of the games they've lost,
And so Munster's been all right, but he's another guy people thought was going to go to the next level. And it's just not happening. And age is a factor. Like I'm not sure if you heard, but Cherry Evans is the oldest player. They only said it 55 times.
Yeah. And Damien Cook was also a beach sprinter. I don't know if you know that.
That's the new one, yeah. So age is a factor, but these guys, I think the last guy that we had who could do it was Gagai. He could lift for Origin.
But even like his last series, he played last year. They brought him in and he didn't get it done. So father time.
And there's 2 sides to it too. There's also New South Wales always allowed us to have guys who played out of it. I don't think this team allowed it because it's so good. Like what I was talking about, specialist centers. I know Mitchell doesn't play week in, week out, but he's proven, like he won 2 NRLs at center. So that was a huge thing New South Wales had over Queensland. 2 legitimate centers. I know, like as I said.
Latrell's a centre playing fullback. You know what I mean? And I think he's played a bit of centre this year even because they've got Jai Gray in at Souths. So he's back playing centres now anyway.
Yeah.
I think
it's a funny position, isn't it? Because it's kind of like it's out there and it's not quite wing and it's sometimes you're like, what does a centre actually do? But and then have a good one and it can be very
Stephen
valuable.
Crichton,
and like those beautiful balls, Crichton. How about Latrell in the air? That was
pretty good, yeah.
But
what do you think about Ches? Because there's a lot of talk about Ches getting dropped. What do you think about that?
Well, like I said, A just caught up with him. Don't get me wrong, he's had a great career, a very, very good player. We're just talking levels here. That's all we're talking. And I'm not talking about a rival podcast either. But
shout out to those guys. I love that podcast.
Willie, Horoscope.
Yeah. Which way are you, Willie, or am I Horo? How would that work with that?
Oh, I'm Big Willie.
Yeah.
Did you see the afro? No. I'm being stupid. I lost my train of thought now. What are we talking about?
Ches.
Oh, yeah. So when I say then these current guys aren't those, we're talking 8 in a row is legendary, right? That's probably never going to happen, probably never should have happened, et cetera, because you're talking best of the best.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know what next best is up after 8. I think it's 3.
3,
So, and so anyway, there's no disrespect to the current guys. It's just they're not them. You're not Slater, Smith, Cronk, Thurston. So great career, great player, but I mean, we heard the stat about his age. It's got to catch up with you eventually.
So what do you think of, because I'm of the opinion, and I think I heard Kempy say it, but there was also talk about dropping Ches. I think Kempy and
I don't think they'll do it.
He should stay for this series.
I don't
he's
think
the captain. He should see it out.
I don't think they'll drop him, because if you were going to at all, you would have done it before game 1, because then you could just go, it's the beginning of a new era. Whereas if you do it now, you're saying we went with him, he played shit. I don't know. That's the funny thing about that.
I feel that it's a little bit almost like what happened with Tedesco 2 series ago. The one where New South Wales probably should have won and Tedesco kept slipping over.
Yeah.
It was horrible. He had a really bad series.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, he's too old. But like at that time after game 1, he had a stinker in game 1.
Yeah.
Lindsay Collins jumped over him to get that try. You remember all of that stuff? And they were like, Freddie's thing was like, no, he's our captain. He gets to see it out. And he was the Australian captain at the time as well, I think. So it was like he gets the series to turn it around. He didn't turn it around. Freddie got the arse. Then the next year, Madge came in and Madge picked Dylan Edwards in the first game, but then he pulled out because he got a cork at training, and they brought Tedesco back in, who did a job in game 1, which they lost anyway with the head high. Then they brought Dylan Edwards back in, and there was still that question mark over him. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like this is Cherry Evans' Tedesco 2 seasons ago, where it's like he has always done a job for him. He's their captain. I think he might even be the Australian vice captain. He's up there or something. So, like, I think he should play this series out. He has the right to get it right or not. You know what I mean? So, or if they cut him, like, I don't know, what they put Dearden in and Munster. Munster didn't play that awesome either. And like Cherry Evans isn't their problem, I don't think. I wanted to talk about this. So there was a bit of chat about Cherry Evans' kicking game. And I rewatched the first half of the game because I saw online this morning there was all these articles about how it was a bad game, which I didn't feel last night watching it live. But Cherry Evans didn't do as many kicks as Munster. He was like their main fifth tackle kicker, which is interesting because that's not usually his role, and especially long kicker. But in the first half, there was 3 plays. The one where Harry Grant kicked the ball and it was caught in goal, and New South Wales went up the other end, got a 6 again and scored their first try. Cherry Evans got caught with the ball on the 5th there. Yeah. So he couldn't have been the kicker. Then there was 2 other ones that happened that Munster kicked, and both of them, Cherry Evans got caught on the 5th with the ball. Yeah. So you could say, so that's not Cherry Evans' fault that he wasn't kicking as much, but why is Cherry Evans getting caught with the ball on the 5th tackle? That's the question. Do you know what I mean? So something was out of sync there. That was like 3 sets, and each one of those 3 kicks ended up not working out very well at all for Queensland. And so I think that what went wrong there, I don't know. And I don't know whether that's Chez's fault per se, but something wasn't working.
I think the age thing, it's just funny, like, all right, we're in the age of like sports science. Obviously after games, they get into their pool and all. I know they've got all that great stuff, but as again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but we're talking best of the best, highest level. Yeah. So it's like if you're off a bit,
little bit,
you're talking
3 sets, big deal.
Even if you're like the sports science, blah blah blah, you're still humans. You're talking, and if one guy's 37, what are Cleary and Moses? They're in their prime. They're like 27, 28.
Moses is 30.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying around that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's still 6-7 years at least younger than Cherry. So that little bit of. You see it in all sports. You see it in cricket where the reaction time goes. Happens to Ricky Ponting and that. So that's the thing. If he's like the littlest bit off and then everything is just a bit off, like...
Yeah, that was nothing. There was a lot of players going into it that were out of form. For both teams, there's 5 Panthers in there and they're coming last.
Yeah. And there's almost like... There's 2 things at play. There's like, what can you do? And then what does your opposition allow you? And like, as brilliant as Munster was, and I really hate blaming like a single person, but a lot of like that game-winning run the other year was like targeting Hines at centre, who was like put there for whatever reason by Fittler, you know?
Yeah, because he wanted to give him a spell.
A great play by Munster, but also allowed by the opposition. So it's like, was Queensland off? Yes, but also New South Wales was on. And those 2 things combined. I
was expecting an ambush. I was expecting I thought that Suncorp was going to be screaming. We weren't at the game. We watched it at the Normanby Hotel. Great place, Normanby. But yeah, I just didn't feel that they were coming out. Remember there was that game at Suncorp. Even last year's game 3, New South Wales scored in the 75th minute. And then, but until then, no one had scored. Yeah. And like they were going at it, you know what I mean? But like, and I was expecting that. And there was other years where they've come out at Suncorp and they've just, it's not an ambush because you know it's coming. Yeah. But somehow they just get them off guard.
You know what? When Nanai put on that hit and there was a turnover, I thought this is it. And then
they got the try.
That was the problem where in the years that Queensland won, a moment like that, they converted.
They go on with it, yeah.
One thing I noticed, I don't know if it was last year, might have been the year before, but Queensland just had really crisp, beautiful back line plays, which is surprising because they've got a really mixed spread of NRL clubs, you know? It's not like the days of 7 or 8 Broncos. I think Broncos only had 1 because Arthurs didn't play.
Yeah, he was 18th.
Only had Carrigan, which is crazy. I grew up in the days of Broncos having 7, 8.
Well, the whole team pretty much.
Oh, yeah, man. It's changed so much. It's like... I mean, well, if you count Haas too, sorry.
Yeah,
1 per team. But it's just, I know it's cliches, but it's moments, game of inches. But Queensland didn't take them, and it was those things combined. New South Wales themselves playing a lot better, and on top of that, they did not have those stupid mistakes that got them in trouble in other years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was. I hate to blame like one or two players, but over the years, I think some like silly selections ended up backfiring, like Pangai and Talakai.
The Dylan Walker time when Loza was back in there last time. But yeah, another thing, the thing that I wanted to talk about too is like, so the style of play. There was all the chat that the Penrith ball doesn't work, or maybe it doesn't work. It worked last night. But what I think Queensland were trying to do, so the hammer, people saying they didn't notice him that much. I think they were genuinely try. It was a plan to try and keep Hammer out of the game so that he was still fresh and fast. So when he gets that one opportunity, he rips it and gets the try. Yeah. And I think maybe it was Cam Smith or someone I heard. I was listening to something earlier in the week before the game, and they were saying like New South Wales is going to play Penrith ball, which is all about our back three making all the carries, resting our forwards for that, and then they can tackle, getting them camped down there, and then eventually they grind away and get tries. And Queensland, we're going to do the classic Queensland thing of like picking some guys that are out of form, Val Holmes on the wing when he plays centre now, and all that kind of stuff. But wanting their forward pack led by Tino to just lift enough to keep him in the grind, and then eventually when the game opens up at the back end of each half, bring on a Dearden or like the Kalen Ponga role or what they've done in the past, and they'll get those really quick plays, and then they'll get it to Hammer and he'll bolt, and then he might have to kick it back in field to Xavier Coates or someone, and they get those runaway tries. Yeah. And I believe from what I think Cam Smith was talking about, it was like that was their kind of plan.
Did you notice New South Wales having those kind of when there's like three or four just drive someone back? And there was one where I think
Panthers ball, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was one where someone got taken out, and then when that happens, that's like a huge lift for your team because it's like a bonus possession that you never thought you'd have. So I know it's
Xavier Coates come out the sideline,
Yeah, I know it's a cliche where people say like winning via defense, but it's almost true because it's like your defense, you drive them out, you get an extra set. Yeah, so I think if I had to summarize everything, like I said, it's a bizarre game. Goal kicking was weird, big hits, but the cockiness of Queensland expecting people out of form to play great, it just did not happen. That's as simple as that.
So with that, what do they do for game 2 to pick players that are?
Well, we are. You know what? Over the years, the depth has changed hugely. Like I remember the days when you got to pick 17 players and you're pretty much picking from like 21 or there's only like 5 Queenslanders in the NRL who didn't make it. And you had some really bizarre. So we've changed since the days of that. But having said that, there are these weird little errors where, like, the depth is quite low for like. I mean, it was very exciting to have Toya, but I don't think normally they would.
I thought he played great.
If everything was going well, you'd rather have a more experienced.
Yeah, but I think he did actually play great. I don't think he has to worry about getting dropped.
It is funny where like. We can be reactive both ways where, there can be a period where there's 4 guys going well and, you got 4 good halfbacks and you're like, we're pumping them out. I think a couple of years ago when it was like Cherry, Walker was coming through, maybe who else, a few others I can't remember. And it seemed like Queensland are pumping in and out. And now we're back to this kind of weird little era where it's like we don't have massive amounts of choice in some.
Is there another... Well, would they bring Ben Hunt back if he's not injured for game 2 and 3?
Yeah, again, I don't know. He's very old. There's two more things I wanted to ask you, both Penrith related.
Okay.
Penrith player related. So first one, there was a lot of, I believe, unfair questioning. But that's the way it goes, of coming into the game of Edwards' position. But I felt, it's easy to go off of one play. He got that winning try. I say winning, they're probably going to win anyway. But
there was a really good kick that he caught and diffused late in the game where it was like, oh, man. He's like having a
But he was solid. He did a lot of good runs.
Yeah, he did great.
And on a night where people were dropping it, I don't think I remember him. Maybe there was one, but I don't remember him dropping kicks. Okay.
No, and he's tough as well. Like, because the talk about having Pappenhausen in there. Something to also take note of. Craig Bellamy's the assistant coach. If he thought Pappenhausen should be there, he'd probably be there.
Yeah.
I think Pappenhausen's too small for Origin, the way that they play with all the guys and the tackles and that.
This is the thing. There's a lot of talk with New South Wales about like, because over the years they've had more depth, so they've brought guys in when they're in hot form and that. It's just because they've been able to, and it's backfired a bit. Not always, but so there was a bit of talk of like, oh, Pappenhausen's hot, Tedesco's hot, bring him in. And I feel like because Edwards he's won 2 from 2 games last year, which were the 2 obviously that won the Shield back. And add into that the last 5 years of Panthers, right?
Yeah, he's gone.
He's been the great fullback for 4 or 5 years.
And he also, Yeo and Cleary, he defends the way that they need someone to defend. You know, and like, yes, last night they went those awesome runs where Tedesco runs up the middle of the, he always gets those half break things and that. There wasn't even any breaks last night like that at all. But New South Wales won the game. It was steady. And at the end, when the pressure was on and other people making mistakes, Dylan Edwards didn't.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that like got us home for a minute there.
So that was the first one. I wanted to ask you if you thought Edwards
I think he's the guy. Yeah, I think he's there, yeah.
The second one, the Toto sin bin. What did you think of that?
Oh, it's a sin bin. Yeah, it's
hard. I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be a penalty try. I don't know how that works.
Because he'd got him. So I
think it's they've got to be sure it's going to.
No, so what happened was it's a professional foul. It's like, so if they're in the field of play, it was like Toto tackled him without the ball.
Yeah.
So it's a professional foul, but it's not a penalty try because he hadn't caught the ball yet.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. You've got to be sure
they changed the rules where you are allowed to, when it's in the goal thing, they are allowed to tackle each other in the air, like once one of them's caught it and they're trying to score. But because Toto grabbed him before he'd caught the ball, and that technically takes away his opportunity to catch it clean and get to put it down.
It's a bit of a
that was why it was a professional foul, 10 in the bin, rather than a penalty try. But I think usually whenever they do that and they give the penalty try, they're like, oh, like you're not going in the bin, because usually someone going in the bin costs 2 tries or something. And in Origin, remember when Kaufusi went off that year for 10 for repeated ruck infringements, and then everyone blew up because they're like, oh, New South Wales only won because of that. And like Queensland come back because of it. They scored on the back of that momentum in the second half. But it was very lucky as well because the game, it was half time. Toto, it took Valentine Holmes 53 seconds to kick the ball.
Yeah.
That counts in Toto's time off, which is wild because like the game clock has stopped.
Yeah, I don't
So
get
he only
that.
did like 9 minutes and 13 seconds or so, which is, handy for New South Wales, but like it wasn't
I don't understand that rule at all. That's just stupid. But
Apparently, it's not Valentine Holmes' fault that he's got to walk the ball back, place it, line, you know what I mean? So anyway, but I was happy with that. It was a bummer, but I get it. And Toto also, I think he dropped 2 or 3 other balls. There's always a lot of pressure on them. I like the way that they do it now, the contested kick thing, and the way they really crack down on the blockers.
Yeah.
Because before it was just everyone ran around and stood there. And so, but both teams dropped a lot. Nanai he got to first like 2 kicks running through, but he knocked them on. Nanai was the guy that I thought was maybe Queensland's. He looked like they're most likely to score. He was dangerous.
Thanks everyone for watching. Maybe we should try and get some interaction going. Send your questions in if you got anything. I don't know. Any questions? Anything you'd like us to do?
Yeah.
Some sort of challenge? You like a challenge?
Oh yeah, I think maybe you could have a go at the Brian Toto breakfast challenge.
Oh, I'm hoping you didn't say the run it straight challenge.
Jesus, no way.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one actually. Should I do the Toto? There's 2 now, isn't there? There's a Toto Brekkie challenge and the Coke Zero challenge.
Well, he has his Brekkie was, I think it was like 2 breakfast burgers, chips and aioli, and 6 cans of Coke Zero.
Yeah, but now like I feel like the media is just drip feeding us these stories because the Macca's one was like 6 or 7 months ago kind of thing, and then the last couple of weeks was this Coke Zero one, and the sad part is he looks like those people on A Current Affair who, when they put out their like daily addiction on the table, like this is all the Coke. He's sitting there with like all these boxes.
He drank like 600 cans of Coke in a month or something.
And he's just like, I like it. It's nice. And my thought was like, and like, I know I'm not someone who is all about health or anything, but I'm thinking like health experts watching and this hero, the kids and stuff saying it's all right to have heaps of cokes. Because you got to remember these guys burn off this stuff.
You've got your first game.
Yes, this week.
Yeah, this week.
St. Brendan's. I've been playing for Brothers St. Brendan's. I just turned 40, so I don't know if NSWRL does this, but QRL makes 40-year-olds get a medical to say they're all right. I had to get a medical, but I passed. And yeah, I'm playing over 35s again. First game of the season versus Redlands at Redlands. Confusingly, the ground is called Pinklands. What colour lands is it?
Yeah.
I know. It's confusing. I wonder if it's obviously the soil in that region. It's like maybe it's a bit pinkish.
Yeah.
That field. I don't know. But yeah, exciting stuff. Obviously,
it's my partner's birthday on Saturday. So I want to go to the game. We'll see if I can. I've got to try to pull a Swiftie.
I'm trying to convince her.
Don't tell her.
I shouldn't say that. I was going to say a popular bros before.
Whoa.
But I was going to flip it, but I didn't mean. But how about partners before mates footy?
Chicks before dicks or something? Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
Lovely before rugby. I don't know. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, listening to our dribble, and I feel like we need a saying like "Stay on the hill."
Yeah,
see you on the hill.
See you on the hill.
Just made that up then. Oh, thanks, mate.